So for those of you watching on the radio, this is Donald Trump getting inside of a Mack truck on the White House lawn. And that's him pulling the... and if you could see his facial expressions as the audience laughs, he quite literally looks like a big kid, a child. And actually, even better, before we go, on your screen, you're going to see some shots from the Associated Press of his facial expressions while he was honking the big horn on the big truck. And this is, look at his facial expression here. This is our president. This is the president of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. He's so excited about being in this big truck. And oh my, I'm sorry to the radio audience. I can't express to you how ridiculous the president of the United States really is. I mean, he looks like a 5-year-old behind a toy truck, driving it like like a bat out of hell. I mean, that's the only way I could describe it. Please go to YouTube. The people listening on the radio, please go to my YouTube channel and look at this man's facial expressions. Let's go to the last one. And then of course he had this was a big day. This was a big day for our big boy president. Trump's a big boy now because he got to ride in the Mack truck on the lawn of the White House. It dawned on me. It dawned on me that we are dealing with a child. We're dealing with a 70-year-old child. We're dealing with, in history, we would refer to him as a child king. But the problem is that we're not dealing with an adolescent. We're not dealing with a 13-year-old. We're not dealing with a 14-year-old. We're dealing with a 70-year-old man. And we're dealing with a 70-year-old man who has never been challenged in his life because his money and his wealth and his influence of his daddy, the influence of his daddy, protected him from actually having to ever grow up. No adult human being gets inside of a Mack truck and decides to put on this spectacular display of childishness like Donald Trump has. And not just that, this is just the thin icing, the veneer on top of the real story. The real story is that America is having to see if we can survive the maturation or the necessary maturation of a 70-year-old man. Now, realistically, once you get over 35, you're not growing up any more than what you already are. Maybe 40. You don't really change. But we're stuck in a situation with a child king who carries himself like a 14-year-old, not even a 14-year-old, like a 7-year-old, not just because he's getting to play with the big rig trucks. No, but in everything else that he does, America is really being tested to see if we can survive the tantrums and the petulant nature of an immature 70-year-old man who has skated his life through by being wealthy and by having influence and by no one ever really telling him to grow the hell up because everyone around him probably wanted his money. So because Donald Trump, no one ever taught you how to grow up, I'm going to present to you 3 lessons for a child king. 3 lessons that everyone who is in power before they're actually mature enough to be in power, what you should know once you actually get power. Bring that image up because I really want to show them what we're dealing with. This is lesson number 1. Get on the buffer too. Lessons for a child king. Words matter. And of course, we're dealing with this. We're prefacing this with the whole truck fiasco. But in reality, Donald Trump is so childlike in so many other ways that the truck is, like I said, the truck is just easy fodder. But Donald Trump is a child because he doesn't understand the magnitude and the significance of his words. Once you become a child king, your words they carry an impact, right? They have a force. And if you're actually in a monarchy, it becomes law, right? But even in the American democracy, what Donald Trump says actually matters. And he's having to learn this the hard way because as he tweeted out the accusation that President Obama actually tapped him or tapped his wires, he's finding out that when he says something, people move into action to qualify and to investigate. And while he may have gone through life and everyone said, oh, this is just Donnie. This is just Donnie. His imagination is running wild. He's such a big boy. He says, give him time to grow up. No, now you are the child king. And what you say, Donald Trump, actually matters. You can't just open your mouth and say something and expect people to turn away and say, oh, that Donnie, he's such a big boy now. No, what you say will cause investigations. What you say will cause foreign leaders to actually reconsider their foreign policy, because now they have to make their foreign policy based on your ranting and raving on Twitter. Your words matter. Number 2, my second lesson for a child king. You can't always get what you want when you want it. Donnie, can I call you Donnie? You ran into this conversation about healthcare, and you ran into it so quickly and so recklessly because you wanted to prove a point, and you wanted to get it done when you wanted to get it done, how you wanted to get it done. And you did not realize that you actually have to deal with other people. You actually have to work with people. In your personal life, you may have been able to throw a tantrum and get what you wanted when you wanted it. But thankfully, that's not how America works. There's not a single president in American history who is able to get everything that they want without negotiating and without, unfortunately, sometimes triangulating with your own party even. And this is a spectacular lesson for you to learn. And it's a shame that we're here as Americans hoping that our child king could actually grow up fast enough so that he would not take his toys, which happen to be nuclear weapons, and destroy the entire world. But we have a president who doesn't even realize that you can't steamroll over your party and get what you want when you want it, how you want it. You actually have to talk to people. You actually have to negotiate. You actually have to listen. You actually have to make a strategy. And it's just staggering that a man who's worth billions of dollars, allegedly, doesn't know this. This is the crutch that wealth and fame gives. I mean, think about all the child stars. Donald Trump is like the child star who grew up and actually didn't overdose. And so he actually got a business as an adult, and now he's the president. But think of all the child stars who cannot handle the pressure of all the money, fame, and success at an early age. Donald Trump barely got out of that stage, and now he's the president of the United States. And we as citizens of the United States have to sit back and hope that he would learn the lesson that you cannot get what you want always when you want it. All right, last lesson for Donald Trump, the child king. Number 3, your ego may take you far, but it can also destroy you. I phrase it like this because let's not pretend as though America and capitalism and society does not thrive off the ego of men and women, right? Sometimes the people with the biggest ego can get get far. They can go and do amazing things because they just steamroll over anyone who would get in their way. That's sort of how America works. So this is not to say that you should go through life without an ego, but this is just to warn you that your ego may take you places, but ultimately it can come back and destroy you. And this is what I believe we're getting ready to see with the ultimatum that Donald Trump has placed on his own party. He said, get in line or else X. Get in line or else I'm not going to deal with Obamacare anymore. And what he's getting ready to run into is the reality that your ego can only carry you so far. And that's up until the point where your ego collides with the egos of other people who have their pride to consider, who have their agenda to consider. And here we are with a child king because he could not get his way. He's throwing a tantrum and saying either have it my way or no way at all. Ultimately, what we're going to see probably in the next 24 hours is Donald Trump, you're not going to have it your way. And Obamacare will still be here because we're dealing with a child king. That's all I've got for you folks. We'll see you tomorrow. But before we go, bonus show tomorrow for all patrons. We're going to talk about dynasties. We're talking about American dynasties, some historical dynasties, and the problematic nature of children of kings, children of presidents, the Clintons, possibly the Obamas. We'll see the Trumps and all the problems that come when you allow money and nepotism to take your children into places they probably shouldn't go. It's a really great episode. It'll be available for you first thing in the morning. If you want to get it, go to patreon.com and become a patron. Folks, it's always been a pleasure. Max, thanks so much. We're out of here.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.